So some of you are like, where did these commands come from? Because we ran commands like user mode, date, and we also ran ls. So I just wanted to say, I don't want you to look at it as a command per se. I want you to look at it as little programs, because think of it. We type in ls and then press enter. That's more than just a command. I mean, effectively it is a command, but it's actually a little program that runs an automated set of commands that were pre-programmed in the kernel when somebody compiled it and they added all these little programs. Because when you think about it, a Linux distribution is nothing more than a typical OS, and a typical operating system is nothing more than a kernel. The kernel, as we'll talk about in the next PowerPoint deck, is nothing more than a kernel is nothing more than the heart of the operating system that connects the CPU and all of the hardware to the software. That's all what the OS does. It's the kernel that connects the software to the hardware. So what is the Linux distribution when you first install it? Essentially, it is nothing more than a kernel as well as some pre-programmed programs in it, all right? I know it's weird to say a pre-programmed programs, but that's basically what it is. That's all it is. So ls and user mod are little programs that have been pre-installed already in the nucleus of the program when you install it, or the kernel. So let's examine these commands or these programs in detail. All right, let's take up exactly where we left last time. And we recall that we started doing the apt update and it didn't allow us to do that. We actually had to type in sudo apt update, but we didn't do it yet. But let's remove all of this from our screen. Let's type in the word clear, and that clears the desktop. Now let's take a look at ls and press enter. That of course allows us to list everything that's in our current directory. Here we created my directory right here, so I'm going to do ls my dir, and there's literally nothing in it. Here's yet another command. That's the touch command. So if we said touch my directory, and then we'll create a new file, we'll say my new file.txt. Now it may create it right here. Let's go ahead and do ls my directory, and it does in fact create a new file. So let's go into that new file and let's utilize the text editor vim. So we'll say vim my directory and then my new file, and it will probably give me an error because I did not install vim, and it says vim command not found. So first things first, let's go ahead and install vim. Now if I just say apt install vim, it will definitely give me an error because I'm not root, because as it says unable to acquire the dpackage front end lock, and then it says are you root, and let me just see if I can extend this. Yeah, are you root? And so in order for us to run the command, and just so you know, I pressed the up button to give me quick access to the command cache that exists. So I press up, and then I can just put in sudo right here, and of course it'll ask me for my password. Let me put in my password, and then it will happily run the installation program. And here we go. It runs, and then it proceeds with the installation process, and then it has installed it. So if we then go, and I'm just pressing up, and if I press vim my dir and then my new file, we can get in there. But unfortunately, if we do here is some new code right here, and let me just here is some new code. Now if I press escape right quit or WQ, it's allowing me to save it. So let me go ahead and take a look, and then let me run a streamer on this to see what the output is. So I'm going to say cat my dir new file text, and it does in fact write out here is some new code. So again, let's do ls my dir, and we do have my new file. Now ls, that is an actual program, as is vim, as in every other command that I wrote. But let's say we want to know things about the program itself. So the man command is our online manual that comes with with each and every program that is both post-installed and pre-installed. So let's do man ls to see what information it can give us. And even before that, let's run clear to clean off our desktop. And now let's run man ls. And then we can see that the name of it is ls. And then here's a very succinct summary of what it does. List directory contents. And here's a more, I'm going to say, precise or long-winded description. It lists information about the files, the current directory by default. List entries alphabetically if none, like none of these flags or switches are specified, or sort is specified. So we have -A for all, and then we have, for example, L, where's L, for long listing format. So to get out of a man listing, we type in Q for quit, and as we recall, we said ls my directory, but as you recall, there's extra flags that we can run. So it's not only can we say ls, we can also say -A, and then let's go ahead and press enter, and then we can see that it gives us my new file, but we also have these dots, and these represent hidden files. Now, if we wanted the long listing, we would say not -A, but -L, and that gives us a listing of basically all the files in my dir. But you can see it ignores the hidden files. So we can actually combine flags. So we can combine ls-A and ls-L by saying ls-AL. And that will give us both the hidden directories and the long listing. So the long listing represents, here's the my new file, okay? And it was created around 1720 hours on this date, and it is only this big. It's not very big at all. It only has 22 units of data in it, and we can see that it was created by user JSON, and user JSON is in group name JSON. So that is a tradition of Linux, is that when you create a user, it goes into the group of the same name. Now, as we progress into the semester, we'll get into creating groups and putting users into groups, but for now, just know that when you create a user, it goes into the group number, the group of the same name. This also represents the permissions of the different members. So we'll get into that a little bit later. So the way this works is we have the permissions right here. We have the user and group name here. We have the size of it here in bytes. And then finally, we have the date it was created and the name of the file right here. However, if we just said ls, the default is just to show you, shall I say that the default output of just ls, it just gives us the listing of the file names, and that's it of my dir. Anyways, that is the man command. Again, we ran the date command. So if we said man date, it gives us the name of the command and a short summary of what it does, and here's the description, and then we can see that here's all the different switches here. So for example, if we said date and then we said -U, it would print the coordinated universal time. If we said date and then version, it would output the version information and then exit. So these are all the various pieces of information. Here's some examples, and if you really want to know the usage of a certain command in Linux, you can always use Google as well.